cooking. You're actually getting progressively more irresponsible as a doctor as these plans go on.
No, that's exactly what I would do, though.
All your patients are going to get pink eye from wetting poop.
And then they'll have to come back to me and I'll treat it, and the rich keep getting richer.
You're part of the 1%, man. The 99%'s busy shitting on scales, and here you are getting rich.
For Thursday, January 7th, 2016, this is All Downhill. This episode, Chris Simmons and Christian vampires.
Hi, I'm Patrick Simmons.
I'm Mike Little.
And with us today for our first episode of the new year is special guest author Christopher Simmons, no relation that we're willing to admit. So we got Chris Simmons here who's writing a book called Alchem the Alchemist, and it is, I guess you'd call it serial fiction, right? That's the technical term.
I mean, I guess at this point, yeah.
Released chapter by chapter online, that's serial fiction.
Yeah, there's currently, 8? Yeah, there's 8 chapters available right
Unless
now.
is it
yeah, there's 8. Yeah, you have 8.
Cool, I thought I only did 7.
No, you've got
happy
8.
About that.
This was uploaded on December 17th, actually.
Making progress.
Yeah, which, I mean, I guess, the fact that you have no clue how many chapters are out, we should also mention he's been writing this drunk, and it's actually pretty decent for being written totally shit-faced.
A huge part of why we had to have you on is because last time we had an author on, he said he can't write when he's drinking.
Yeah.
So we needed you on to be the catharsis for that.
I listened to that episode, and he said that, and I couldn't believe it, because if I try and write sober, it's just garbage. Absolute garbage.
How many times do you edit this before you put it up?
I write it drunk, and then I edit it still drunk.
Yeah,
so I only read through it once. I read through it. Mostly I'm just fixing typos. A lot of times I can tell how drunk I was when I wrote it, because I'll start a sentence and end it in a completely different thought somewhere. And then occasionally I'll find notes, tirades that I've written about things happening in real life that have nothing to do with the book. So I cut all those out. And sometimes I'll add some details if I decide something needs...
When you cut stuff, do you just get rid of it, or you save it for a special edition?
I just pitch it.
So there'll be there'll never will be a special edition where it's basically all marginal notes. Here's where I accidentally typed a whole story about how my roommate was taking me off because I was drunk.
Nope. No, it goes away, dies with history.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about the plot so far?
Yeah, so it's these 3 young men,
presumably all named Alchem the Alchemist, right?
Yeah, no, Alchem's basically not in the book. This was a story I came up with when I was 14, or at least I came up with the character Alchem. There wasn't much story at that stage, and then as I wrote the story this time, I pretty much wrote him out of the book.
Yeah, he's essentially he's the light bulb from the briefcase in Pulp Fiction.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what he is.
He's oh yeah, he's there. Anyway, so here's some other people. Yeah, so it's about these...
So what it would be like if Star Wars was called Lando Calrissian, the movie? It's yeah, he's there.
Maybe if the first Star Wars was called whatever, the Emperor or something. Emperor Palpatine. Yeah, because he's
Emperor Palpatine's
he's a big important
adventure.
Character. He's just not really in it. He's mentioned.
We just wanted to establish for the listeners, if you read Alchem the Alchemist, expect what he's about to say and not any alchemists named Alchem.
Yeah. So it's about these 3 young men. I guess they're 17, 18 kind of age range, and they leave their home to go fight demons. That's pretty cool.
So far there are no demons.
Yeah, they don't show up till later.
The end of chapter 7, I think, that's currently out. There was at the very end, there's a little bit of some shadowy thing happen.
Yeah,
and there's maybe some foreshadowing in chapter 8, but so far no demons. I have to say though, so far the first few chapters, it's kind of doing the obligatory setup sort of thing. It moves a little slow, but really the last 2 or 3 chapters, 6, 7, and 8, they've really been drawing me in, and I'm kind of curious to see where everything's going, because now you're starting to see a little bit more of the outside world. Things are getting a little bit more ominous. I was surprised. There's a bit where he's coming home from the little town that he goes to with his friends for the weekend, and I was expecting
a
full-on...
You did actually read it. I thought maybe you were full of shit.
No, I read it, and he comes back, and I was thinking it was going to be a full-on, Luke comes back and finds Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru dead, and all of their horses dead, too. But, that didn't happen. I'm oh, man, he just kind of goes upstairs depressed. I'm well, that kind of, threw me off a little bit. Now I'm, really curious to see where it's going. So, I did read it. Yeah.
No.
For those of you listening who would like to eventually be an author on All Downhill, all you have to do to impress Mike is not rip off Star Wars.
Essentially.
Apparently, that's what we just learned, right?
Yeah.
If you make him
Don't
think
rip
you're
off
gonna be
Star
Star
Wars.
Wars, and then don't, you win. That's it.
It was actually kind of funny because I thought that's okay. Look, he's just doing Star Wars, which is fine.
It does seem like an obvious.
It's like
setup
it's an obvious
to kill,
setup.
Kill parents.
Yeah, and then it just doesn't happen. I'm like, oh, the classic hero myth. He's not following it. Cool. He's doing something different.
Didn't kill his parents. Well, I wanted to not kill his parents because it seems like, I don't know, almost every story where it involves a young child, the parents are dead. Basically every Disney movie. I don't know what Disney has against parents, but they're always dead.
Disney
They're
either
always dead.
hates parents or wants all their money or want the kids just to give them all of their just dead parents' money.
No, actually,
That's what Disney wants.
It's a little bit reversed in this case. The kid basically like abandons his parents. He's like an asshole son. He just leaves.
I've noticed
And
that
then the parents become heroes?
No, the parents,
Because that would be the reverse.
I guess, just get old and then die.
So it's pretty bleak.
No, he doesn't. It's not like he just abandons them and it's like, you suck, and leaves or whatever. But they do leave town, and he's just like, bye, parents.
So is he ever going to when he becomes a hero and he maybe comes back, I don't know if he's going to die or not, but if he ever comes back, do you think he would learn his lesson from not being about not being an asshole to his parents and actually waking up and doing his chores, or is that is that his type of mindset?
He kind of goes off and basically like learns to fight demons and get superpowers. So if there was any lesson here, it's to just leave your parents.
Whatever you do,
to be a bad son.
Don't do your chores. They are a waste
this is
of time.
not meant to be a book to instruct people on how to interact with other human beings. Clearly,
so it's a fantasy with no redeeming quality.
Yes.
So for the people who are going to start reading it, so it's 8 chapters long so far, right? And,
Yeah.
And you said it's mostly set up. How long is the final product going to be? And is it close to being done but not edited and not online?
Yeah, it's very close to being done. I'm sort of
because you get that worry for a lot of people. It's like, and I have this a lot because I used to read a lot of serial webcomics, and I've noticed you'll get really, really invested in it, and then the author, for whatever reason, will never put out another, and the story just ends halfway through, and you're like, well, shit.
So right now where I'm writing it's just kind of getting to the climax. I know exactly what's going to happen because I did know how I wanted it to end, and I just hadn't really had the details worked out until this point. But now I know exactly what's going to happen. I just need to write it. So I don't think that'll take me very long at all. Originally, I didn't want the book to end on like a cliffhanger or something where it's like, oh, now you have to read the next one. I wanted it to be able to stand alone just in case I decide I don't want to write this anymore. And then I blew that. So it's going to have to be a part 2, basically. Now, it's not going to you could still read it and then just be done with it and be like, okay, well, that sucked. I'm not going to read it.
So you're
anymore.
Peter Jacksoning the Hobbit now, is what you're doing.
It was an accident. It was not on purpose, I swear.
Is it going to end on a cliffhanger now? Or, just a little, teaser?
It's not going to end on a cliffhanger. I didn't want to do Star Wars, the second one that was made.
5.
Yeah. So that's Star Wars episode 5. It's more of a Star Wars episode 4 ending. I don't know why we keep going on Star Wars. Now that's what you got me
It's
on.
just convenient.
It's more like a 4, yes, this will continue and they're going to keep doing stuff. But you can just watch the 4th Star Wars.
Also, you have no idea how much I really just want to put out, the new Star Wars movie spoilers right now in the middle of this.
Han Solo dies. So now that that's done...
There we go. His son kills him.
Star Wars comparisons aside, it's not science fiction.
No, not at all.
We should put that out. It's a fantasy. Right?
Yeah, it's a fantasy story, but it takes place... It's not like Skeleton Dwarves and stuff. It's just a sort of, I guess, alternate world. But it takes place a little later than most fantasies. So there is, gunpowder and cannons and that kind of nonsense. The alchemy is supposed to be legit, chemistry kind of stuff. But then they fight demons. That's a whole nother... Yeah.
In the book, so far, it seems like gunpowder is a really important thing.
Yeah.
So it's kind of
central,
like a thing. It's it's central to the book. So you say that demons are coming. So I don't know if this is a spoiler or not. So can gunpowder kill demons?
Is that hang on? Is that a fair question? Can guns kill demens?
Or
gunpowder. Gunpowder.
Well, the gunpowder weapons kill demons.
Die from gunpowder. It's,
I mean, maybe they're allergic to it, and you just keep it in your pocket. It's like pocket sand. You're like, shot pocket sand, and you just throw it at a demon, and you're like, oh god.
It's like War of the Worlds, where they can't handle our germs. They're all allergic to gunpowder, so they're shooting at them, and they're like, it's not working, and then they're like,
they just load blanks.
Oh yeah, it's just we just need the powder. We've been idiots this whole time.
So yeah, can guns or is that a spoiler?
Guns can kill demons. It basically, demons are just very strong. Really anything could kill. Like if you dropped a piano on a demon, you could kill it that way.
Do they have pianos in your universe to do this with?
I haven't.
Do they drop pianos on
sure,
demons?
I'll. You know what? I'm gonna write it in somewhere. A piano's getting dropped on a demon. Probably not in this book unless I can find a spot to add it, or I've already written something. But I'm gonna make that happen. A piano's getting dropped on a demon.
So wait, when you say you're doing a sequel, by the way, is it going to be like a spin-off, or is it going to be here's
just
the
a continuation,
chronological next?
Yeah,
okay, so is it going to be a trilogy then? Because that's the thing.
I don't want to do a trilogy. I think there would maybe.
So he's gonna 2 books, 4 books.
I think probably 4. I think 4 would fit.
Oh man, I was really hoping you'd be edgy and just do 2 books.
Oh, that would be edgy.
That would be edgy. You would get so much street cred from that. Like all the hipster cred.
The second book could just be 3 books long.
Yeah, it's just going to be 3 times as long as the first book.
Of the 8 chapters online now, how much of the first, I guess, arc or book is that?
I don't know because I keep condensing or squashing chapters into each other. So in my Word document where I have the book, it's like chapters 1 through 8, and then all of a sudden it's like chapter 20 because I've taken so many chapters and squashed them into each other.
How many chapters do you have total in your Word document?
In my Word document, like 60 or something.
Okay, so there's quite a bit left to come. So
yeah,
we're probably maybe like a third of the way through, maybe a quarter.
I think maybe less than a quarter. I don't know exactly how many words I put out, but I think it's less than a quarter.
Well, I mean, because these are actually like the perfect length. Like if you're just sitting down taking a shit or something like that, or a pat length shit or something like that. You can read 1 or 2 of these while you're on the toilet, or you can read 1 or 2 of these just quickly.
For the confused listener, a pat length shit means you're in the toilet for like an hour and a half.
Yeah, I mean, like you could read, at least a few of these in that point in that time, but like these are just like they're really nice, like short little chapters. A little bit shorter than I remember because I was reading these on my tablet, and I actually read chapter 8 on my computer, and it was like, wow, it feels so much shorter on the computer, but they're actually like pretty decent, just little chapters. They're very concise, but they're full of a lot of cool things.
So the length of the book right now is between, I think it's longer than the second Harry Potter, since everybody's read those, and shorter than the
Harry Potter?
third Harry Potter. It's just a frame of reference for people who, grew up like in the last 20 years.
And whose parents weren't evangelicals.
Yes, that. Or whose parents were evangelicals and the kids were sneaky.
Yeah.
Either way.
And good on you, kids. Remember, all downhill endorses when your parents tell you not to do something, you should go out and do it.
If your parents tell you the show's the work of the devil, just buy all the merchandise.
What, inspired you, because you said you wrote the original when you were 14, what made you decide that you were going to go back and start writing again?
So I had a summer off between graduating from school and going to graduate school, and I only had 2 months, so it wasn't like I could really get a job. So it was the first summer in a long time that I hadn't had a job, so I needed something to do. Mostly it was a way to excuse my excessive alcohol use.
Well, yeah, because, all the greatest writers were just absolutely sloshed all the time.
Yeah, so that's sort of how I excuse
What's your drink of choice? And do you find some drinks, work better than others for getting the writing?
Yeah, actually, 9 times out of 10 I drink beer, but if I get stuck, I get Yahara Bay white whiskey, which is like a 50% clear whiskey, and that's what I use basically to break myself out of.
That's really specific.
Yeah, no, it's what occasionally I've only had to do it a couple times, but I'll just get somewhere and be like, I have no idea what I'm doing at this point. I know what I need to happen, but I just can't get it into words for whatever reason. So I'll just get whiskey and have a night where I kill myself with alcohol and get some writing done. And they tend to be the most productive, honestly.
I feel like the horrible thing about this is it's fascinating, but at the same time, this is entirely you giving our listeners what the average person would probably call unequivocally bad advice.
Well, I'm not saying you should.
You having trouble getting your writing done? Try drinking a 5th of whiskey.
Yeah, I didn't drink the whole thing. I didn't
look, kids, if you're having trouble writing that paper,
okay. So drink a 5th of a whiskey.
Sure, yeah, something like that, just to get the wheels turning. Lube the writing fingers.
Lube the writing fingers.
Yeah, that's the thing people say.
Is that it? I don't think it is.
Yeah, I hear that all the time.
I think it's the first time anyone's ever said that.
So you just type the whole thing though, right? You're not like one of those people who's like,
I'm not doing
I write it on paper, or I got my typewriter here.
People who write on paper are just looking for an excuse to write slower because they don't have any good ideas. So they're trying to deter their own progress. Also, I'm already drunk and I need to be able to read it later. So it's a little easier. At least I don't have a handwriting problem. I still have sentences that are completely incoherent, but I can read all the letters.
Hey guys, this is Patrick, co-host of All Downhill, reminding you that if you're an iTunes subscriber, we'd really appreciate it if you would take a moment to rate the show on iTunes. It helps us know you're listening and gives us some idea of how we're doing, in addition to helping give us a little more exposure. You can also hit us up on Twitter at All Downhill Show, or find us on Facebook, facebook.com/alldownhillshow, and tell us what you think there. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks again for listening, and now back to the show.
So you've got like three main characters in your book, the young guys who are in this. You got Michael, Bart, and then James. So what, like, did you base any of those on like any like people that you know or friends?
Not at all, actually. I avoided that. Maybe I think there were some aspects of their personalities that I may have pulled from certain people, but mostly they're genuinely made up. The only thing is, Bart, his physical appearance, I sort of aimed after Don, just because I thought Don looked hilarious.
I was gonna say, the funny thing was, when I started reading this, it was actually when Don was here, and that's who I had in my head.
No, that is who I have in my head. The reason just being Bart, when I wrote the character, he's meant to be like a big dude. I mean, I didn't have anything specific, but then when I met Don, I was like, that's perfect. That's what he should look like.
Yeah, well,
just like a big ogre.
For the confused listener, Don is one of our listeners. He's a friend too, but he's one of our listeners. So somewhere out there's one listener going, "Hey, that's me," and everybody else is going, "What the hell are you talking about?"
No one knows. Yeah, so no, that was kind of funny because a lot of people and a lot of authors, they'll go and they'll say, "Oh man, this character was really inspired by my really good friend, or by my dad, or by this person or that person."
I specifically avoided that.
And I noticed, like, I know you well enough that like none of these people sounded. Bart was the only one that sounded vaguely familiar, but that's because I think it was you described Don very well.
We'll put a picture. We'll put a picture of Don with the show notes for this episode.
Yeah,
this episode will have a picture of Don in the show notes.
So was there any person in here that was inspired by anybody? Much less like not the three characters, but anybody.
So there's another character, Shernine, who I think briefly has been in it so far. And he is definitely closer than anyone else, a combination of a few random people that I've met in my life that I'm completely not in contact with anymore. So just certain aspects of his personality. But then there's also a lot of it. I think if there was a character who's most like me, it would probably be Shernine.
So is that like something that you always would try to avoid if you're ever like writing anything other than this, like is basing characters on friends and relatives and whatnot?
Yeah, because I think then I sort of get too much of an idea stuck in my head of how they should act, and it kind of limits what I can actually do with the character.
So you're saying that people who
people
who actually do that are just lazy assholes who don't know how to develop characters?
Sure, I'll say that.
Cool.
I'll go on record.
I'm gonna put those words in your mouth because you know.
So wait, is the book itself inspired by? Do you have any inspirations for the plot then? Either real people or other books, movies, whatever that have inspired you?
That's a good question. I do kind of the whole these kids learn to go fight demons and it's cool thing. I guess is somewhat inspired by Bleach because that's always what I had on in the background when I was writing stuff. And I was like, this is cool. They go and fight demons and stuff. Let's do that, except we'll put it in a fantasy world because it's interesting. Yeah, so maybe a little bit from that, but most else not really. A lot of it kind of developed around the character Alchem, who I promptly wrote out of the book. But the whole world is designed sort of for someone like Alchem to kind of like fit in it and make sense that you're like, yes, you would find a person like that here. And then, I excluded him. He birthed this entire project and then I kicked him out of the door.
And he's the eponymous hero who doesn't even show up.
Yeah. No, he's definitely in the book, but in the 111,000 words that I've written, he has maybe half a page of actual his own dialogue.
Yeah, because he doesn't have.
Well, he's very quiet anyway.
Yeah, he says he really didn't say anything. Like he showed up, I think, in like chapter 3 or 4 or something like that in here so far. And I don't even remember him saying anything. I think he just kind of like gestured at people.
Yeah,
that's all he
quiet.
did.
He's very quiet, and there's reasons for that, which will become apparent later, but not necessarily.
Ooh, spoilers.
It'd be very towards the end. Well, he's not even really in it towards the end. So
well, he's not even in it. Yeah, so it's fine. You have to wait till book 2.
Like that's also a spoiler, though, isn't it? I mean, he's not in the end. For those of you who are wondering, he's not in the end.
The books. No, he is in the end. The whole point of the book is they're going to get Alchem. So he's been contracted by the government to go work on this project, and since he's so old and, senile and frail, they're like, you know what, he's probably gonna die, so we should go get him. So that's sort of the premise of why they leave town, when they do eventually leave.
And is he gonna be in the sequel? Or is that too
Yeah,
much?
he'll be much more of a character in later edition, because they'll have found him.
All right. So
Wow,
really,
just giving away the
Alchem
story.
the Alchemist, it's kind of like Lord of the Rings. It's like, yes, the whole plot is revolving around this thing, but when it really comes down to it, this thing doesn't do a whole lot.
Yeah, it's just sort of a mechanism to get things going.
Okay, so Alchem's mechanism, at least in the first book.
Yeah, in the first book, absolutely.
Okay, so is that, why didn't you call it The Hunt for Alchem the Alchemist?
It's too long, man.
Okay, just,
Keep it
I mean,
I think every book will be named after a character who's very sparsely in the book.
that's the series
Yeah,
plot.
at the end of whenever I read the second one.
You're not going to pull like the Aragon card where you name each book off a random word that no one can pronounce?
No.
Because that would be fun.
I'm
That'd be
trying
good.
to avoid doing anything similar to Aragon at all, period. That's my biggest fear, is that I'm going to finish the book and it's going to be Aragon and I'm going to be like, no!
I mean, the first book was, okay.
I read the first two, and I enjoyed reading them both until the end of the second one, when it was Star Wars.
I just thought, honestly, no.
It was
That
fantasy Star
comparison's
Wars.
coming up a lot.
Oh my gosh. Well,
Dude, everything
that's
is
why
Star
I think about it,
Wars.
is because my biggest fear is that I will accidentally write Star Wars.
Well, and see, that's the thing. You haven't. You've already broken the trend.
I broke
so
the trend.
You
And
could.
it doesn't. I didn't make him live with like an aunt or uncle either, just because I think that's overused too. It's always an aunt or uncle, Why can't they just have parents?
Well, it's the.
You know how many people just have parents? Like tons of people, like almost everybody. You don't need some kind of childhood trauma to kickstart your life.
No lightning bolt scars on your characters' foreheads?
No, man.
No
Think about
parents
that.
getting shot in a back alley in front of you, and then you having bad dreams about
No,
bats.
No
to me,
aunt
it
and
seems
uncle
like
getting burned alive by stormtroopers?
like a cheap tactic to get people to do stuff.
No
Like,
mother and father being blown
I'll
up on a
just kill
planet
their
that you've never been
parents.
to,
Yeah,
and then being
exactly.
jettisoned to another alien world.
Yeah, none of that. That's nonsense.
I want a normal everyday person who nothing bad happens to and goes on an adventure anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, well anyway, so that out of the side, so while we have you here, because, we like to take our guests out of their comfort zones and make them talk about something horrible.
There was this article in Al Jazeera, and I was just scrolling through my daily thing that I do, and I saw a title. It said, Jewish leader demands expulsion of Christian vampires. And I think you saw this too, right? What was your reaction to it?
I have, we have a mutual friend on the Facebooks who is what you may conservatively refer to as a conspiracy theorist. And so he posts a lot of things about the things that the Jews are doing to destroy the world. Like, poisoning vaccines to make us all sick, to prepare us for the Zionist New World Order, and so on. Doing 9/11, that kind of thing. I don't think there's any listeners who don't, at least, if they don't have a acquaintance or friend like that, they at least know someone who does. But so he posted it, and I did with it what I do with most of his posts. I had a lovely little laugh, and I moved on to something that seemed moderately less insane of a claim.
Yeah, and
But
then
I didn't realize that this was posted on Al Jazeera. My immediate thought was, this is on InfoWars.
Yeah.
I didn't look at the source. I just assumed the source was InfoWars, Stormfront, insert something else here that is trying to bait me into a bizarre race war that I don't understand.
Yeah, but no, this is on Al Jazeera, and this is apparently Sir's business. So, there's this guy, his name is Benzi Gopstein.
That's which sounds, again, there's part of the problem. It's like, how am I supposed to believe this when the main instigator involved in this is a cartoon character Jewish name?
Well, I don't make up the names of Jews. The whole thing that precipitated this is because every year so many thousands of Christians go to the Holy Land for Christmas for pilgrimage.
Which I didn't realize, by the way, until this year when I had a couple friends who did it. I didn't know that was a thing, and I don't understand it at all. I get it's oh, the Holy Land, that's where, Jesus was born, but it's also
I swear he was born in Mexico. I'm pretty positive you guys have this backwards.
Well, see, my thought is, no, if you're you're like, oh, for Christmas, let's go somewhere. Yeah, let's go to... Does it snow in the Holy Land?
I don't think so.
Right, so why would you go there? Because clearly there's
it gets cold at night sometimes, but it doesn't snow because it's a desert.
Especially in a year like this where half of the, United States has become Great Lake number 6 or whatever because of all the rain and not snow. Wouldn't you want to go to, like, Colorado where there's snow? Or at least enough weed you could pretend there's snow?
I wouldn't
go to the Holy Land. Personally, I'm not begrudging those of you who do, but that seems like the worst Christmas ever.
Yeah, no, I don't want to be eating matzo balls for Christmas. So, I'd rather eat... I mean, matzo balls are tasty, but
I've never
not
eaten
for
a matzo
Christmas.
ball. It's like for Christmas, what I want for Christmas is to be sitting next to a Christmas tree in my house and falling asleep with a mild eggnog buzz. I don't want to be in the Holy Land because then I'm probably supposed to be like pilgrimaging and praying and going, oh, yay, holy sites. And that sounds way less fun than new pants under the tree in this wrapped up box for me all pretty and an eggnog buzz. But moving past that, let's talk about vampires.
Yeah, so essentially he's a leader of a right-wing Jewish group called for the ban on Christmas in Israel and the expulsion of Christians, describing the followers of the religion as blood-sucking vampires.
How do you ban an entire day? Do they just jump to the 26th and then add like
no,
another day?
No, it's just December the 25th is now just December the 25th. It's not Christmas. It's on that day you go around the people and you go, Merry December the 25th, miss. The same to you. What a normal day today is. And then you kind of just walk off. That's how I imagine it. That's probably not the intent, but in my head, that's how I imagine it.
Yeah, so basically the other thing that he said here too was, he's actually advocating for burning down of Christian churches in the Holy Land, just because they're essentially, the Christians are parasites, and he's also talking about making sure that Christians and Muslims can't marry. He wants them to not be able to marry Jews at all, making that a law.
In the Holy Land or anywhere?
Just anywhere. Well, in Israel.
Because I feel like if it's in Israel, it's kind of silly. His calls are stupid. It's like, we need to get all of the Christians out of Israel. Also, they can't marry Jews here. It's like, well, you don't need to say they can't marry Jews here. If you kick them all out, then the latter just kind of follows. Right?
And apparently, according to this as well, there were 2 sources told Al Jazeera that the followers of Gopstein were arrested for the July firebombing of Palestinian homes in the West Bank as well. So they are actually going out and firebombing things.
These guys firebomb Palestinian homes and want to kick all Christians out. I'm sorry, I don't care about any of that. I'm still caught up on the vampires thing.
Yeah, that's kind of an odd comparison.
From like the whole, they drink the body or they eat the body and drink Jesus' blood.
That's not really all.
Oh yeah. Here's the one I was looking for. Missionary work must not be given a foothold. Let us throw the vampires out of our land before they drink the blood of our women and children yet again.
Oh, okay. So we're not. Okay,
so we're talking
it's
about
not
Jewish.
Jesus' blood. We're drinking Jewish blood. Okay, isn't that funny? That's because when they circumcise Jewish babies, have to suck the blood out of the circumcision wound with their mouths. So I just want to put.
Is that actually a thing? Because is that what the Mormons actually do?
That's they have to suck the blood out with their mouth.
Shouldn't a doctor be doing that anyway? Oh wait, they're Jewish. They're all doctors. Never mind. What am I thinking?
I think it was in New York a few years ago, a thing where like some rabbi had herpes and like gave it to a bunch of kids because of circumcision.
I do remember. I read.
I actually heard that, and I was thinking, what did he like? What did he do? Yeah,
that's why they actually have to. And I don't think. Like, on one hand, it sounds really creepily pedophilic. I was going to say, but it's clearly not, because that's not the point. You're not, like, giving him a blowy. You're sucking the blood out of a circumcised wound. But on the other hand, now that I think about that for a minute, if this guy's going to say Christians are sucking the blood of Jewish women and children with, as far as I know, no backing for that assertion, I can say for a fact, rabbis are actively sucking the blood of male Jewish infants out of their junk. That sounds a lot worse. It sounds like if he's worried about getting, I don't know any Christians who regularly suck people's blood.
Ha! Me either, because that would be disgusting.
Look, Catholics do it all the time. We suck Jesus' blood all the time. And he was Jewish.
I don't know.
But he wasn't a woman or a child.
He wasn't a woman or a child. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know many Christians. I don't think I personally know any Christians who suck Jewish women and children.
I don't know any Christians.
If you're a Christian and you suck the blood of Jewish women and children, please let us know.
Yeah, give us a call. I'd love to have if that person
we'll get
exists.
You on the show.
But where do you get that idea?
I think it must have something like
more in like a metaphorical sense.
I think he means it in a metaphor. I don't think he actually thinks people are physically.
I want you guys to stop, because what you're doing is you're giving him the benefit of a doubt and ruining a perfectly good story. If it's a metaphor, then he's an a-hole. If he's serious, If he means legitimately blood-sucking, then this story's awesome.
See, that's what I want it to be. I mean,
because then he's crazy, and crazies are more fun than just a-holes.
So, like, how many Jewish women and children, like, during, like, Christmas time are, like, found, like, drained of all blood in the back alleys in Jerusalem? Like, is there a statistic?
Like 14. It's not a lot. It's pretty reasonable number.
Is that kosher? Is the blood of Jewish women and children kosher? Is that the problem here? You can't do that. That's
no.
You just can't have it with cheese.
No. It wasn't prepared by what do they call them?
I have no idea.
There's some sort of
special
special like
understanding of kosher diets is if you buy something in the store and it's kosher, it has a little U symbol on it.
I think it has to be prepared by a certain person who is approved by like a rabbi or something to prepare food. Okay. So it's only kosher if the women and children were served up by someone appointed by a rabbi to do so for the Christians. Otherwise, it's not kosher.
Okay.
That's my understanding of how the kosher thing works.
All right.
And again, if someone out there is a kosher Jew.
I'm sorry. It's like the story. I want to take it seriously. I want to have like something to say about it. But the story.
The headline itself just lends itself to being silly, I think. And that's why I stopped. Like, this is the reason why it struck me is because you have like, it's a funny juxtaposition because you have Donald Trump saying we have to, ban all Muslims from coming into the country. And he didn't call Muslims, as far as I know, vampires. He may have called them something else. Who knows?
And he also didn't say, despite how he's been misquoted, that we need to kick them out. He said we need to not let any more in.
Or at least for a certain period of time.
For a period of time. And this guy's literally saying, we need to kick them out, they're vampires.
And burn their churches.
Burn their churches. It's like, it sounds like the leader of an angry mob in like a 50s Hammer horror movie.
Do he and his followers carry torches and pitchforks?
I don't, it doesn't say in the article.
I can only hope. I will pretend that they do.
Well, does anyone in Alchem carry torches and pitchforks?
Not yet.
Okay, because it's the Renaissance, so that's like a thing, right?
Yeah, it could be, but...
Do they burn witches?
No. There's not a lot... Well, actually, it's funny. There is sort of a shunning on magic. People in the country that they live in aren't super keen on the idea. It used to be more of a thing way back when, and then in recent years, everybody's like, we're done with this nonsense now. Sort of because the whole demons thing kind of scares people, and they tend to go hand in hand, mostly because traditionally you would use magic to fight demons because it works well.
Wow, tropes, man.
Yeah, real life.
I kind of like that though. Your book seems more reasonable than real life right now.
Yeah, right now.
Yeah, no, I would much rather live in that world.
There's nowhere else this can go. Okay, so you can find Alchem the Alchemist at, do we have a web address for this?
I do have a web address.
Do you have like a Facebook fan page or something where people, Twitter account?
Nope.
He does have a Twitter.
Yeah,
I have a Twitter, but I haven't used it in months.
You can find author Christopher Simmons on Twitter. It's his handle is @Quezon, Quezon. Ignore Quezon City in the Philippines, which his account is often mistaken for because somehow he got Quezon as his account.
Like 3 times a day.
But also remember that when you go to it, it's super helpful. There's no link to his book anywhere on that Twitter account. And he never posts on it.
Yeah.
So you can find his book at...
it is at alchemthealchemist.blogspot.com.
That's ALCHEM...
Yeah. Okay. ALCHEMTHEALCHEMIST.BLOGSPOT.com. There's gonna be a link below here.
There's gonna be a link, but some people might download this off iTunes and not from our website. So if you don't go look at the show notes, now you know how to spell Alchem, just in case, Like, have you guys read books these days? Every author...
I never read.
Every author makes up words that have absurd spellings, and so it would be nice to just give the people the chance to not have to guess.
What's a book, guys?
It's like Alchem the Alchemist, except instead of being on the internet where it's convenient, you can read it on your phone while you're taking a poop. It's on paper that gets wet and destroyed in the rain.
So you put it outside and it gets destroyed in the rain and it kills gremlins?
Yeah,
it's a gremlin.
I've never understood why you store.
So wait. Books are gremlin. Can you feed books after midnight?
It's like most people have a wood pile. Pat just puts all his books out there and it's like, this is where these go. And then he comes out after a storm and it's like, oh, my books are ruined.
It's been great having you, Chris. This has been all downhill.
You've been listening to All Downhill. For more episodes and information, including sources and show notes, visit alternative-internet.com/alldownhill. Find us on Facebook, facebook.com/alldownhillshow, and on Twitter @alldownhillshow. For advertising information and other inquiries, email Patrick Simmons, patrick@alternative-internet.com. The music used in this episode was Infinite Light by Pipe Choir, licensed under a Creative Commons Attribution license. For more information, visit pipechoir.com. Thank you for listening.